Hello Rover fans, 'tis I, Captain of Mustardville. Look at this, I've actually got a Rover CityRover here for review. As my name suggests on Facebook, Paul Roverman, I'm a man of Rovers. And I drive all Rovers, and I've driven them all, except for this one. I don't mean this specific car, but the CityRover. I've never driven a CityRover, and I've heard lots of good things, and I've heard lots of bad things. Let's find out what they are. Well, first of all, as you may know, although it says Rover on it, it's not really a Rover at all, it's a Tata, the Indian car manufacturer, Tata. It was the last car to be branded as a Rover before Rover disappeared, swept under the carpet with the rest of the British motor industry. And many people, possibly myself included, would say that this car is partly responsible for the demise of Rover in the first place. I'm going to give you a few statistics here. Some of them may not be that accurate, but this car was made by Tata in India and then imported from there to the UK, where it went on sale as the CityRover. They cost Rover around £5,000 to buy new, and then they sold them on for between £8,000 and almost £9,000. That's quite a lot of profit. So, was that enough to be the last nail in the coffin? It could have been. Top Gear's James May probably provided the nail gun with his review on the thing. If you've never seen James May's review on the CityRover, I suggest you don't bother. That's my suggestion, you can do what you like. So, let's have a rather lovely, unbiased and balanced review on this car from me right now. The styling isn't particularly stylish, if I'm absolutely honest. It's quite generic. If it didn't have CityRover on the back or any of these other clues, it could be a Volkswagen or a Citroen. These big lights there look rather Citroen-esque. Nothing wrong with them, but that's what they look like. And the same goes for this tailgate. Again, it looks a bit kind of Citroen. Citroen are French. French are stylish. It's rather slab-sided. Not a great deal of detail going on besides this sort of crease along there. And that's where it starts to look a little bit like a Volkswagen Polo to me. And then, as you get to the front, it kind of goes a bit Vauxhall Corsa-ish. Look at those lights. These lights are not off a Vauxhall Corsa C, but I bet that's where they got their idea from. It's not winning many points style-wise so far. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not really pressing many buttons. These alloys are cute though. It is, however, a pristine example of a car. There's barely a mark on it anywhere. And that's quite a fascinating colour as well. Listen to these door shut sounds. Bit flabby. Bit flabby. Budget feel. But with the door welcoming me in there, I think I shall climb inside to the rather grey interior. The seats look like they've come out of a 1980s Toyota. And so do the door cards actually. It really is just like sitting in an old Toyota. Looks a bit like a Yaris actually. I'm going to have a press around on some of these buttons, but there are a couple of things I've noticed that, again, very, very budget quality items. Door handle there, again, that looks like it came out of a 1980s Toyota, but these exposed screw heads don't look very nice. And not only that, if I close this up, it's just does feel quite. I think an expression will cover what I think of that. I'm afraid it's not getting much better here. That feels a bit kind of not nice. That's quite clunky. That's too highly. It's too springy. It's too hard. Lovely T-shelf on the dash there. You could put big bottles of cola or something on there, and as you drive along it will fall off and spill sticky stuff all over your lap. Well, the dash overall isn't an unpleasant place. It just looks very, very dated, and not in the usual way. I mean, normally Rovers look very dated indeed, but in a charming, gentlemanly way. Nice, clear instrument cluster there. What is a surprise so far is the leather steering wheel. Leather steering wheel. I wouldn't have expected that at all. And then down here, 4 electric windows. I'm going to climb in the back now. I wasn't anticipating a great deal in the back of here because it is a very small car. The headroom's okay. I can sit upright, but the legroom is less than desirable. If I sit up like this, then my knees are okay there. They're touching the seat, but they're okay. But then, of course, my head is touching the roof. So you have to kind of slouch down a bit like that, and then kind of straddle the front seat, which isn't particularly glamorous. I found another thing I don't quite like here, and that's the location of the rear electric window. It's right the way down there, which means you've got to move your knee out of the way in order to operate the window. I mean, why can't it be here or there? It just seems like a really odd place to put it. Boot is, as you'd expect, small, but it's a small car. It's just big enough for a big bag of licorice all sorts. The parcel shelf here is very plasticky, and this is quite funny the way it's actually rubbing on the gas strut there. Maybe it should just be on the. Maybe that should just be on the other way around. Let's try it. Still rubs a little bit. Underneath the bonnet we have an engine. You might be expecting a K-series under here, but it's not. It's not a K-series at all. It's a completely different engine. It is, I believe, a Peugeot engine. Single cam 1.4, which I believe is the same engine block that they used to have in the Peugeot 205, which I remember as being quite a nice little engine. I wonder what it's like in this. It's just an engine with a big hard plastic cover on it and the battery upside down and somewhere to put your 710. I am now driving the CityRover, and gosh, what an unusual seating position it has. Well, it's not unusual, but it feels really, really very high up indeed. Extremely light steering. The steering wheel feels really big. So bobbing along at 30 miles per hour here, I'm going to turn right into this road just there. Very, very easy car to drive. This car is going to be for sale very, very soon, but the owner wanted to bring it to me so I could do a test drive. There's 2 reasons for that. Possibly a bit of exposure, and the other is he promised me a test drive and wouldn't sell it until I'd actually done it, which is very honest of him. The thing is, it's practically a new car. Although it's a 54 plate, so it's 16 years old, it's only got 10,000 miles on the clock. 10,000! Normally you'd be 100,000 by now. Well, the main thing to report is it steers kind of like a new car. It goes along flat and secure without any kind of knocks or clunks anywhere. When you look at the car, that's exactly what you'd expect. I've never driven one of these before, and my assumption was it was going to be like a bit like a 25, but it's not. I mean, the seats are much firmer, you sat higher up, the car feels narrower, the engine's not so fizzy, and it's a bit noisier. The engine's very smooth. We're making some nice progress along there without really trying too hard. It's quick, but it's not quick. It's nippy. It's a proper little nippy town car. Because this car is so clean in the inside and the outside, I even asked permission to stick on my phone holder on the windscreen because they can leave a mark. So one thing I most definitely will not be doing is cracking out a kebab. Gear change is a little bit rubbery, but on the whole, the car kind of, it is actually quite chuckable. Actually quite good, that. Whenever I drive around, I spot Rovers everywhere. I mean, not everywhere, because you don't see them that often, but if there's one there, I will see it. But I don't think I would spot this one. With many cars I've driven in these reviews, I've seen people looking, like with the SD3 yesterday that you haven't seen yet, and the Maestro, and the big Rovers as well. But I'm not going to see anybody looking at this because it is a little bit anonymous. You're just going to see it and think, is it a Vauxhall? Is it a Volkswagen? Is it a Citroen? I don't know. And then it's gone. It really is a bit of a mixed bag, this car. Most definitely. It's perfectly pleasant to drive, actually. It's nippy, it clings onto the corners, it's easy to drive, it's not horrible to look at, it's not horrible at all, it's kind of just, it's probably where Rover were headed anyway. After you hung around, probably all sorts of imported cars, imported bits, no longer providing their own proper products any longer. That's where it would have gone. And I think the people that buy Rovers don't really buy into that kind of thing. So who knows what would have happened if it wasn't for the Phoenix 4 filling their pockets. I don't think I've ever seen a better example of a mixed bag when it comes to cars. It's definitely not really a Rover, and that's what people say, but it is quite likeable. It's likeable, it's a quirky little drive, it's a quirky little car. It's not as bad as Top Gear made it out to be, or as many people would suggest, but it really does lack that build quality and attention to detail that we know Rovers for. So I don't see how they could ever really have thought they could have gotten away with it. Most of the interior plastics, etc., are quite below standard, really. But maybe that's part of its charm. You consider something like an Audi A3. It's really well put together, really well built, but it's just so dull. It's tedious. They're a tedious car. This one isn't. It's kind of interesting. I think I quite like it.